Hey everyone, Gary Elysium's back again with another video of my recent CD purchases. Now before we get in this video, please go hit that subscribe button, help support my channel. Alright, so this video, along with the CDs, I also have 3 DVDs and a couple vinyl albums that I bought, which I usually, not that I don't, but I have so much vinyl that it's actually filled up, and I listen to CDs a lot more, so I kind of haven't bought vinyl in a while. But a couple that I wanted, so let's get into that real quick. I'll show those off. First up is a Going for the One picture disc. Probably won't spin this at all. It's just, it's just a really cool picture disc. Just something to add to my collection. Next up, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic. My favorite album by the Chili Peppers. Always wanted to own this on vinyl, and I finally caved in and grabbed it. Next is something I've never really seen before, only on vinyl. This is Deep Purple, last concert in Japan, and it's on a purple vinyl. Really cool there. And finally, last with the vinyl, Motorhead, Ace of Spades. Obviously, it's their classic album. Alright, now we're going to get into the CDs. First up, I grabbed Linda Ronstadt, her first official live album. This is called Live in Hollywood, recorded in 1980. It has a really good sound on it, and it's a really good show. Next, Biohazard. I've actually never owned a Biohazard CD. I know them from Ozfest and obviously, you know, the Hit Parader magazines and all different compilations back in the late 90s. This one's called Matzo Leo. I'm probably saying that wrong. These Eyes Have Seen is the one song I remember from I think it was the very first Ozfest live CD. So I picked that up for really cheap. I think it was $1, and I'm gonna give it a spin. Next up, I don't own anything from Jefferson Starship. I have almost everything from Jefferson Airplane. Obviously, Jefferson Starship is the continuation of Airplane. I think I only own Starship's Greatest Hits. So Red Octopus, I have this on vinyl, and it's a really good album, so I'm glad to finally have it on CD. I'm probably going to start getting some more Jefferson Starship CDs as I find them. Next up, Two Against Nature, Steely Dan. I didn't own any of the later Steely Dan albums, so I picked that up, along with this, Everything Must Go. Kind of the comeback after the 80s. These were released in 2000 2003, respectively. Next is a compilation. One of the CDs I'm pretty sure I owned, but I didn't have it in my Discogs, and I don't know if it was misplaced. I wound up getting rid of it years ago, so I borrowed it and never returned it. Anyway, this is Changes Bowie. Basically, it's kind of a mixture of Changes 1 and Changes 2. Next up, amazing album. I once had this when I was a teenager. I think I gave it to my grandparents, actually, and I now own it again. Portrait of a Legend, Sam Cooke, 1951 to 1964. Very influential soul artist, one of the greatest singers of all time. And this I've picked up for $1. Foreigner, The Complete Greatest Hits. I only own the first 4 Foreigner albums and records, so this goes a little beyond that. Looks like there are 6 songs beyond Foreigner 4. Next, another CD I know I definitely owned. Was in my Discogs, and again, I must have gave it away or someone borrowed it, but it's no longer in my collection, but it's back again. This is The Ultimate Experience from Jimi Hendrix. I'm a huge Hendrix fan, and it's cool to throw these compilations on every once in a while to hear the different things, different, track listings. Next up, an album I did not own by Eric Clapton, Money and Cigarettes. This is one of the early CDs I did not own by Clapton, so now this basically completes everything I have by Clapton up until like the mid-2000s. The last couple albums he put out, I never bought yet. Next up, this is one I ordered from Amazon. Wasp, their sophomore album, The Last Command. Remastered digipack. Features some live tracks on it, a cover of Mountains, Mississippi Queen. Great band, Wasp. Next is a band I never owned, War. This is Eric Burdon, Declares War. Features the huge hit single, Spill the Wine. Basically the first hit song, I guess, for War. Eric Burdon, freshly departed from the Animals. Next up, this one's cool. The Best of Michael Schenker Group, 1980 to 1984. I own Michael Schenker Group on vinyl, but nothing on CD. So this is my first solo Michael Schenker CD. Next, this was something I picked up at Walmart. According to the sticker, this was a Walmart exclusive. I'm not 100% sure of that because Walmart's probably the last store on earth I like to go to. I'm not a fan of Walmart. This is called The Very Best of Seether. Unfortunately, it is edited. There are 10 songs on there, but kind of a cool compilation to throw on. Like, I was making dinner earlier and I threw it on. Next up is another one by Biohazard. This is the self-titled debut album. I found this for $1. I know this is a kind of a thrashy, hardcore debut, and I'm looking forward to listening to this. Probably check it out tomorrow. Next up, I already own this. I've owned this for over 20 years. This is my favorite Metallica album, Ride the Lightning. This is since the 90s I've owned this one. I finally caved in and bought the remastered version. However, I do not like this small digipack, but the sound is definitely better. So I think I'm going to take the CD out of this and replace this one so I can keep the jewel case. But I'm obviously going to keep both around. Not get rid of this one. Not at all. Next up, one I didn't own by Paul McCartney, an earlier one. This is Pipes of Peace. Features the huge hit single Say Say Say, which was a duet with Michael Jackson. So you see the digipack here. Next, this is the 2017 version of Stage, the live David Bowie album. This was recorded basically after his Berlin years, from albums like Station to Station, Low, Heroes. Really cool double disc there. Next up, this is the tour edition of Motorhead's Aftershock. So the tour edition features the original studio album of Aftershock and also a bonus live CD, which is called Best of the West Coast Tour 2014. 14 live tracks, basically Motorhead doesn't really have a greatest hits, but mainly the concert staples and the most well-known songs from Motorhead, like Damage Case, Can't Speak Tonight, Stay Clean, Chase is Better Than the Catch, Dr. Rock, Killed by Death, Ace of Spades, and Overkill. Killed by Death, such a great song. Next up, I was surprised by this, According to Nothing. This was on sale pretty cheap, so I picked it up. Really good album. I was actually surprised at how good this was. I was a Korn fan growing up. After Issues, I kind of wasn't that interested in them. I bought CDs after Issues here and there. Nothing that memorable to listen to all the way through. But this one was really good. It's got the new metal vibe, but it's heavier, it's harder. Really impressed by that album. Next up, I grabbed the remastered version of Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere, the amazing sophomore album by Neil Young, one of my favorite albums of all time. I already owned the original version, but I decided to get the remastered version, the Neil Young Archives remasters, which they remastered the first 4 albums of Neil Young. I already own the debut album remastered, and I got After the Gold Rush remastered because that is probably my favorite Neil Young album. Next up, Jackson 5, the Ultimate Collection. Yeah, I mean, some people say guilty pleasure. I'm not ashamed. Jackson 5, great band. The vocals are great. Songs are really catchy. Next, I finally caved in and got the 2 CD anniversary edition of Abbey Road. Figured since I had the anniversary edition of Let It Be and Sgt. Pepper's, I'll get Abbey Road. Next up, I'll probably grab that 3-disc White Album. Again, this features a really thick book with a lot of pictures, some liner notes in there. It does sound better than the remasters. Next up, Harvest, Neil Young Remaster. I mean, as you can see there, it looks very similar to the vinyl, the original release. It even has the texture to it. There's my original version. Got the remaster to replace it, and again, sounds much better. One of the ones from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers I didn't own. I thought I had this all alone, but I didn't. Let Me Up, I've had enough. I know this album. I'm very familiar with it. I'm pretty sure I've had it in the past, but I did not have them in my collection currently, so I picked that up. Again, this was $1 brand new. The Icon series, which I'm not a big fan of, but it's the Allman Brothers Band, one of my favorite bands of all time. So basically just picked it up to put it in my collection. Next up, the Incredible String Band, 5,000 Spirits or the Layers of the Onion. Basically just a really folky band, but the album cover is, I think, one of the greatest album covers of all time. I mean, such great artwork there. Very reminiscent of the time, 1967, obviously very psychedelic. The music does not really match the album, in my opinion. You would expect something really trippy and psychedelic, but the music is very, very folky. Next up, another one I grabbed by War. This is The World is a Ghetto. I haven't listened to this yet, but very interested in it. I don't know if I've ever heard this before, but I remember this was featured in Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums of All Time back when I grabbed the magazine in late 2003. Basically studied that magazine, all the albums, and I finally own it. You know what? How many years later? Almost 20 years later. Next up, a sophomore album by Blue Cheer. This is Outside Inside, released on Sunday's Record Digipack. Same lineup as Vince Eruptum. Very heavy, very fuzzy guitar tone. Really great. I mean, these guys were so overlooked at the time. Next, another one I didn't own, Pat Benatar, Live from Earth. This is basically, like the title says, a live album, but does feature 2 studio tracks. One is the huge hit Love is a Battlefield, and the other one is Lipstick Lies. Alright, next up, this is, I thought it was a bootleg, but turns out it is a UK release, Bad Company Live from Albuquerque, New Mexico, 1976, double disc album. Features basically every, all their songs from the first 3 albums, basically, just a combo. It does have really good sound to it, cool artwork there, a live shot of the band. Next up, A Paranormal Evening with Alice Cooper live at the Olympia in Paris. This is the double disc CD. Doesn't have the DVD concert of it. Basically features a greatest hits of Alice Cooper's songs live. Next is a band I didn't own. This is Ram Jam, the very best of, known for their huge hit Black Betty. So the album artwork is basically, I think it's the same as their debut album, which is the album I wanted, but this is the only one I can ever find, the very best of, and turns out I grabbed the German pressing of it. Alright, 2 more CDs left. These are remasters. I grabbed Double Fantasy, the stripped down version, to replace my regular remastered version, which is, I believe this is 2000. Now when I say replace, it's just replacing the wall behind me, and I don't really get rid of anything. So this is really cool. Disc 1 is stripped down. Basically, it's produced a little different. Song sound a little different, just more raw, and the disc 2 is the original album remastered, which obviously sounds great. And last one is Black and Blue by one of my favorite bands of all time, the Rolling Stones. This is the 2009 remaster, which will replace my 2003, at least, or not 2003, I'm sorry, 1993 or 1994, I believe this remaster is. And yeah, I mean, I'm at the point where I'm just replacing some of my CDs with remasters and stuff that has better liner notes and more colorful artwork. All right, real quick before I end the video, 3 DVDs I picked up. Rory Gallagher, Irish Tour 74. I've seen this before. It's an amazing concert. Just great. I mean, Rory Gallagher just shreds. One of the greatest guitar players of all time. Very underrated. And next I grabbed the 2021 remaster of Live at Great Woods from 1991 by the Allman Brothers Band. The original DVD and VHS that came out featured interviews between the songs, but this just features the entire concert without the interviews interrupting. And last one I grabbed, seen this so many times, but I never actually owned it because it's always on like Hulu or Amazon Prime or something. This is 8 Days a Week, The Touring Years, The Beatles, my all-time favorite band. 2-disc special edition, and what's really cool about this is, I mean, look at that booklet that's in there. Really thick booklet. I'll be reading this, looking at all the posters. pictures. And obviously I had to own this, being that it's my favorite band. Alright everyone, that's it for this video. Again, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching. And I will be posting another video very soon. Don't know what I'm going to do yet. I've got a couple ideas. And again, I always appreciate the comments. And if you guys have any ideas I'd like to see me do in a show, drop in the comment section. Everyone take care.